Today's episode is brought to you by the letter prawns. Best served hot and fresh from a bus with your face on it. That's playing Shawaddy Waddy. So many scissors in this prawn sauce. The finest quality of prawn sauce is made from prawns, by prawns, because of prawns, and scissors. Prawns.
Line.
You just look on your hand, it just says line on it. See, only the highest budget preparation. It kind of looks like the word lime because you put the N and the E. So, delicious lime. Before we start, I do have a story that isn't related to any of this. It's about my drink. I spent most of the morning going up and down Sherwood High Street into every off-licence trying to find San Pellegrino Blood Orange because I was going to do a bit about it. And I even got to the point where I went into this one random, very shonky-looking shop. It looked like someone's living room that just had shelves in it. I walked in, saw they didn't have it, and began to walk out, and the guy was like, "Can I help you?" I was like, well, "I'm not stealing anything." But then he asked what I wanted, and then I had to describe it to him. It's like, "Okay, who makes it?" I was like, "I don't know, it's San Pellegrino." Like, he's like, "Oh, it sounds like a very rare drink." I was like, and then I wrote it down on a bit of paper, then showed him a picture of what the can looks like. So we'll try and get some in for you. It's like, well, I need it for a bit today.
I need it now.
Anyway, shall we make a start? Or just have some coffee first.
I'm probably going to have to do this more than once, unsurprisingly, because I can't do line.
Some sort of horrendous sample-based monstrosity with the generic beat under. Some sort of horrendous sample-based monstrosity with horrendous generic beat. Some sort of horrendous sample-based monstrosity with the generic beat under. Some sort of horrendous sample-based monstrosity with the generic beat under.
Welcome back to another quality episode of Always an Adventure. I'm Alex.
I'm Sam, and together we will try not to bore you to death over the next hour. Amazingly, we actually both prepared shit this time around, so
I know, right?
hopefully we won't.
What a surprise that is.
Hopefully we won't wander too dangerously off topic, no more than normal anyway. We have had an overwhelming response to our first episode, so much so that, was it 40 views? And it went up on Wednesday. 40! 40! That's almost 50.
And amazingly, one of them isn't me.
As an aside, editing that episode almost drove me insane, but it was my own fault. So, all I've done is edit. All I've done. I actually bought a piece of software so I could edit it legitimately and properly and hopefully wouldn't crash so much, which was true during the editing process. But during the exporting/rendering process, oh boy, was it a big old bag of steaming, flaming poo. It was hotter than that coffee and stinkier than what happens after you drink that coffee. We got there in the end. Also, a bad thing happened at work, which compromised a lot of our computers, and some bad people decided to do a Mr. Robot, and we bounced back, but it really fucked everything up workflow-wise. So that's been my week, is editing and just trying to put out fires at work. What is that?
I made a thing. I've taken up another hobby, which is wood turning, as you do. I turned a handle for a pokey stick.
Is that a screwdriver or just a pokey stick?
Nope. Just a pokey stick. It's just a stick. It probably came out of a printer or something. I can't remember where. It's just a steel rod. So it's actually for the lathe. So I turn this on the lathe for the lathe. It's so that I can poke out stuff that gets stuck in the tailstock or the headstock. You push things in the friction fit, and they can be a bit hard to remove. So I've made a tool which I can just sort of put in the back and tap with a hammer.
So you made a thing to use on the lathe with the lathe?
Yes.
Oh, that's very clever. I like that. It's like making the tool for the tool. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. That's, we've both been creative this week, it seems.
This was a week of 2 weeks off work. Let me say that in a different way, because that made no sense. This is the first week of 2 weeks off work. So I've not had any work related. Actually, no, I tell a lie. It's bullshit. I actually had to log in and do some work on Thursday.
Unacceptable. On your time off, at this time of year, located entirely in that room.
I go back a week Monday.
Oh, okay. Okay, that sounds cool. I mean, it's not cool, but it's cool that you've got another week to not have to think about work. Did my camera just do a thing then? Is it still recording? Yeah. From questioning what my camera's doing, we've got listener questions.
Question 1 comes from Young Ham. They ask, which celebrity would you want to negotiate your release from a prison/hostage situation, and why? Specifically British television personalities.
All right. Now I have thought about this, and my answer.
He thought about it. Stop shooting, you shit!
It's Louis. It's Louis Theroux. It was really a no-brainer. I think I was walking to work musing about it on Friday. I was just like, he's historically survived all kinds of shit. Often in the very faces of some very dangerous people as well. Like if
Yes.
like he's just talks so straight to them.
He's managed to get himself out of situations where, yeah, you'd expect him to get seriously hurt and or killed.
Exactly. It would probably talk them into releasing me or throwing me into the ocean. Either way, I'll be free of them. So I think that's fine. So that's my answer. Louis Theroux, top bloke.
Sorry, my coffee's getting gritty.
True grit.
Talking of True Grit, did they make a remake of that recently?
Yeah, it had Jeff Bridges in it. I haven't seen it.
British television personality. Ooh, Joey Essex, purely because he'd get himself killed.
How's that going to help you?
I don't care. If I'm going down, I'm taking him with me.
Joey Essex, the man who can't tell the time on an analog watch. Oh no, was it a digital watch? It was a digital watch.
What are these symbols? What do they mean? What is this witchcraft?
What are these alien glyphs? Is Joey Essex actually from Essex? Because that's just too perfect.
I know it's going to rock your world. His surname is not Essex.
I am distraught.
It's a bit of a persona.
What?
But also, yeah.
Is he that much of a div in real life, though? Or is it that's probably played up as well? Surely.
Let me talk to him because we are best buds. Clearly.
Well, you trust him enough to negotiate you out of a hostage situation, or not? You just want to see him die.
I just want to destroy something beautiful.
Joey Essex is not beautiful. He's barely a human. I'm sorry. He's like a sentient cabbage or something. He just exists, and that's it, right?
Just contributing to the inevitable heat death of the universe.
We're not allowed to go that depressing. Sorry, we're going to have to cut you off there.
It's moments like this there is a particular bit of music that I can think of, which is like the technical difficulties music.
Yeah. Is that the BBC one?
You know that one?
I already ripped off the BBC titles test card thing already, so might as well go whole hog with it. So
all hog, double hog,
all the hog,
200% hog,
more hog than your body has room for.
Beep 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 beep, 200% hog.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Yeah, come on, let's focus. Hog. It's local hogs for local people next, I think, isn't it?
Seize your hog.
Except for it's not local hogs for local people. It's your thing that you do now with the Facebook Swipey McDoodads. We don't have a name for it yet, so...
Facebook Swipey McDoodads. I've been looking at...
You've been looking at something.
I sure have. Buy and sell pages, groups, buy and sell. I have been looking at... I have been looking at this fucking camera for too long now. I've been looking at buy and sell groups on Facebook, mostly on the toilet. Do you want a jean chain? 3 whole pounds.
Okay, I understand what it is, but what it makes it sound like is it's a chain made of jeans, or loads of people called Gene holding hands.
Gene.
Also, they're in the shape of a DNA spiral thingy as well. So they're
double helix as well.
Double helix, jeans.
Genes. And also, they're all dressed up as a genie. So they're genies. So yeah, apparently they can deliver for £1 extra. So
I don't know, that tips it for me. If you don't include free delivery on my gene chain, I don't think I'd be interested, sorry. Wait.
Just so you know how big the chain is, they decided that they were going to use a spoon.
Of course.
So there's a spoon in the pictures.
Spoon.
So you know how big this chain is, because it's about, I don't know, 4... In fact, they've included the spoon, but not the full length of the chain. So you can't tell how many spoons long this chain is. You just know that there's a spoon, and it's bigger than the spoon, at least 3 times as big as the spoon.
Right.
Never mind, I've now deleted the picture, so you'll never see it.
What is this, Snapchat? Anyway, what I was going to ask was, what kind of spoon was it? Is it a dessert spoon, a teaspoon,
It was a teaspoon.
A teaspoon. Can we use teaspoons as the new standard of measurement?
How many spoons high?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Another one, I was like, okay, right. So for £5 you can buy yourself shredded paper.
How much shredded paper can you get for a fiver, according to this?
How much wood can a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck would chuck wood?
You chuck it into a shredder and then give it to you, and they go, it's not paper, but it will do.
They refer to it as a large bag. It's just a black bag full of shredded paper for £5. Why?
I mean, if you needed shredded paper that badly that you were looking on a local buy-sell group, surely you would have a means of getting it for free. I mean, you could just go to an office, and as long as it's not important documents that they're shredding, who cares? It's shredded paper. A hamster's going to do a shit on it or something. That's all that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But
it does look like it's just come out of a big old shredder.
and now I've got the photo.
It's because last time I didn't send it to you. Because I know how to technology.
Large bag of shredded paper, £5 a bag. How many bags do they have? There's no real scale on this. There's like some floor tiles. Those are some fucking dangerously worn out floor tiles.
How many spoons wide is it?
How many spoons can you fit in the bag?
What was the volume in spoons, please?
I love the name of the group as well. Ashford Kent's buy, sell, swap or giveaway with admin that care. For some reason, admin that care is title cased.
There's two groups called Buy Sell in the town, and clearly one is insinuating that the others have admins that don't care.
That's throwing shade on the other one. It's like fundamentally you're doing the same thing. It's just that you don't get any money out of having a buy sell group if you're not buying or selling anything. Surely you're just advertising what's happening, and it's just like I guess whatever passes the time during lockdown, it's fine, whatever. If you want to be snarky via your titles to each other, then you can. That's fine. Coming soon, Always an Adventure podcast. We don't talk about anime.
Also, we don't talk about angling in German?
No, it's aquascaping solutions or something like that.
Or about raking rocks and shit.
Honestly, I gave it very little attention because I don't speak German, and it was just it sounds like, even if you could hear it in English, it sounds very dry. It's just going to be 40 minutes.
If we get 3 million listeners, we'll both learn German to listen to his podcast.
Yeah, we'll just learn enough German to listen to one of his episodes.
I'm going to get another can of pop because I need more pop, it seems.
Oh, welcome back. For some reason, I imagined that you would take a lot longer.
I did a burp and it didn't really help because I'm feeling pretty full because I am literally full of liquids.
So, opening another can. You're not sponsored by some obscure well, I'd say obscure. Dr. Pepper is not obscure, is it? And local lager for local people, well, that doesn't have the benefit of a multinational conglomerate, does it? So
they're almost as famous as we are.
Almost. Do you have 40 views on YouTube? Do you?
Pretty big deal in the old cracker factory.
Well, you're talking about pretty big deals. My news story today is about a pretty big deal. A gentleman who's been part of Nottingham for 50, 60 years now. You could say he's an institution. Mm-hmm. I thought that compared to last week's "Oh dear, someone's house is on fire," which is kind of... it had its moments, but it was kind of worrying. This is a load more wholesome. I found, like, one of the most wholesome stories. So this is the headline from the Nottingham Post on the 3rd of November 2019. I think it gives... Thank you. I think that this headline just says everything that you need about this story. Nottingham's legendary Cockle Man now has an NCT bus named after him.
Right? There's enough popularity of cockles that there's a man who's known for his cockles.
Exactly, and in a landlocked city, that's almost inconceivable. I feel that he must have a cockle farm somewhere, if there's such a thing. He also sells crab sticks and stuff, but we're going to get into that, so don't worry. This is about...
He's not a gay fish.
He's not a gay fish. He is Nottingham's only remaining Cockle Man, and he was giving a terrific surprise when his regular Green 10 double-decker bus turned up bearing his name on the front.
It wasn't painted with his face, his visage.
He's got kind of
It wasn't painted with his face.
He's got kind of a nice old man, sort of soft features anyway, so that wouldn't be so bad.
Jowly.
A little bit jowly. Dave Bartram, no, not that one from Shawaddy Waddy. I had to look that up. I was like, Dave Bartram? When did he start selling cockles? Christ.
Shwaddy / Cockle Man, man of cockles, Blob-Food from the sea. Yeah, they're filter feeders, aren't they?
Yep. That's why you have to soak them in vinegar, otherwise they just taste terrible. So.
Grit.
Anyway.
True grit. That's the truest of grit right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Crunchy cockles.
Grind your teeth down.
Yeah. Dave Bartram. Started doing
not of Shwaddy
not of Shawaddy fame, just of this, because he started doing his rounds selling seafood across the city back in 1965. Said he was honoured to have an NCT bus named after him as a surprise naming event on Saturday, November the 2nd.
This bus stop seems a bit busy. There seems to be a lot of people. What's this tape about? Why is the mayor here?
Why is my face on the side of that bus?
Why is Shwaddy playing and my face on a bus?
I'm so confused. He's got like his little cockle basket. It's like, what?
Yeah, he drops his tray of cockles and a series of rodents just appear and take it away and they continue with them. Yeah.
Anyway, the legendary Mr. Bartram has soldiered on through the last 58 years, despite the death of his beloved wife, a mugging in March 2017, and a broken hip in April last year, which led to him almost packing the business in. I don't think it says it in here, but as an aside, when he got mugged in March 2017 and he went into hospital, they found, when they were scanning him to see if there were any broken bones, that he had a very early stage cancer, which they were able to eliminate before it got anywhere near serious. And I think that's like the best thing to come out of something bad as well. Like, and one time somebody, like, I think people used to steal his basket and things like that, like horrible people. But then pubs would sort of fundraise to get him new equipment and not a van to put the equipment in, he'd still get the bus.
You could say that they hooked him up.
Yeah. Okay, this is what Dave has to say about the bus situation anyway. I'm not going to do his voice because I think that's a disservice. I'm just going to speak using my normal dulcet tones.
Do you even know what he sounds like? Have you met the man of cockles?
I have. I regularly travel on Nottingham City Transport's number 10 bus when heading to and from the city with my basket of fresh seafood.
Delicious basket of fresh seafood on a bus.
Exactly.
Sounds great.
Exactly.
The person you want to be on a bus with.
And it's an honour to now be able to travel on a bus that has my name on it. An honour. Like, imagine Alex, you go into Ashford, the number 400 bus or the number 12 looks like you.
The only bus for me is the 666.
Of course.
As an aside, if we're talking about buses here, because clearly that's the content that everyone needs.
I love buses.
The 666, I think it still does. It might. No, they got rid of it. Maybe I haven't looked at a bus in about a year. They had a little devil face on the whatever thing that's above the windscreen that says the number and where it's going.
Christ, that's very winky, nudgy, isn't it? Like, yeah, we know. You know.
And apparently some killjoys were like, the devil, about it. And I'm like, oh, God's sake.
Really?
And
the progressive town of Ashford. Christ, I didn't think that they...
Yeah. I think they changed the bus number for a while, and then they changed it back and got rid of the devil face.
Was he a bad devil? Bad devil. Bad double-decker devil. Yes! My God, it's like Devin Townsend knew. Like...
Unfortunately, it's a single-decker bus.
Oh, that ruins everything. Anyway, shall we continue with Mr. Bartram's story? Mr. Bartram has been a Ruddington resident for the past 20 years and can usually be spotted wearing his traditional white fishmonger's overalls, selling cockles at pubs in the city, such as the Dragon and the Sow as well. That's where I see it. I also saw it at Sow a few times. I obviously didn't buy anything because when I moved to Nottingham, I almost immediately became vegetarian. So I was like, but it's the cockle guy, and everyone loved him. They surrounded him. Was like, hey, do you want a drink now? Sorry, because he always comes at the evenings as well. Like he just goes out in the evenings, and sort of it's his way of socialising as well as selling a few fish products to a couple of drunk metalheads. You're like, wee.
Yeah, on the thing of vegetarianism, are you against eating insects?
I wouldn't, because insects are kind of not my go-to food stuff anyway.
Yeah, well, our true grit, bottom-feeding blob-food from the sea, they are mollusks.
So technically sea insects, basically.
Yeah, yes, they're moist insects in effect.
Speaking of moist insects, the NCT marketing manager.
I like that segue now. That's a segue to King.
Right.
Talking about moist insects.
There's NCT marketing manager. I can't say
Kicking marquees.
just goes around kicking people. The marketing manager added, as Nottingham's last remaining Cockle Man and someone who's raised money for Rainbow's Hospice, it's a very worthy person to be honoured with a bus naming. And then I went and done some more research away from this article because I wanted to know what he was up to these days. Unfortunately, I didn't find anything, but I found a BBC article from 2014 detailing that an independent filmmaker made a short film about him. And it's only like 13 minutes long, but I actually watched it and I almost cried a couple of times. It's just so nice and hot. Thanks. Yeah, I welled up a couple of times because it's just so... He tells his story and about his wife and stuff, and I was just like, yeah. At one point in the article, it says, Mr. Bartram's trusty basket once saved him from a serious injury when a drunken reveller plunged a pair of scissors into it, puncturing his prawn sauce. He was fine, but the prawn sauce was ruined, mate. Like, it's just everywhere. I will put a link to the Cockle Man film. It's on YouTube. It's on the Lace Market Studios YouTube channel for you to watch and the viewers at home to sort of click away from because we're boring them to death already. So, like... Anyway.
Are we both... Is that Vidiot's shirt?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes, I am sporting a Vidiot's VS1 original shirt. They just do podcasts now, which is, can't blame him really. So
requires far less video effort.
Normally, yes, I would agree. But if you're this then you decide to do something stupid.
So you're wearing a Vidiot shirt. I'm wearing a regular car review shirt. We're both clearly...
So yeah, that was my story about the Cockle Man. Don't know how he's doing during the pandemic, to be honest. Like,
you imagine he's old enough to claim a pension if he started in the 60s.
Oh yeah, he's in his 70s now, so... I thought he was a lot older than that for some reason.
Old as the hills, old as the rock, old as nature.
Old as fuck.
I'm
sure that in his 50-plus years of selling cockles for a living, that is something that he truly believes in, and he probably has very few regrets about that. Now, my next question comes from Subsound, who, by the way, made our hot and fresh new intro song.
No, that was buttery smooth. That was the segue of dreams.
It was. I'm trying.
Talking about wet insects.
Talking about wet insects. Segue! Anyway, he asked, what is something serious or silly that you regret and what you would do differently if you could go back and change it?
Christ, this is a fucking question, isn't it?
We went right. We sort of teased you in with the silly, and now this is the deep end. The marinara trench where all the sauce is.
That's where all the Americans get it from.
Just the marinara, the endless trench of sauce.
I drink your milkshake. I drink it up. In this case, it's marinara sauce.
Delicious.
Doing a silly.
Yeah, it was doing a silly, and I regret nothing. What do you regret?
Oh God, I honestly don't have an answer to this question that's not horrendous or something I don't want to talk about.
Subsound, you completely flummoxed 50% of Always an Adventure podcast with your incredibly deep question. Would you like me to go then? It's not the biggest regret, but it is a regret. I like to think a lot of things that I've done, bad and good, have been learning experiences in my life. But there's one thing that I can't think of a single redeeming quality that came from it. And that is, in 2006, when I was utterly infatuated with this young lady, this is hard for me to say, I gave away all of my N64 games to her.
Holy shit.
All of them, because the SCART lead was broken on my N64, and I just thought, oh, well, I don't use it anymore. And I was like, oh, well, I don't need these games anymore that I have spent years completing again, and there were some classics in them. I'm talking about Super Mario, Perfect Dark, Diddy Kong Racing, F-Zero X, about 15 to 20 of them. And Zelda.
You must have had
Zelda.
GoldenEye.
Yeah, GoldenEye. Oh, I Conker's Bad Fur Day. That was a fucking good one.
In the days when Rare still made good games.
Yeah, when I look back on that, I think, what a fucking idiot. Why did you do that? Because this is the thing that gets it's fine, if she went and then just took them and was like, oh, I'll play these now. So she just gave them to her brother, and her brother sold them a couple of years later. So why did I bother? And it turns out she didn't fancy me anyway.
Damn.
It was a complete fucking waste. And like, if I could go back and edit that part of my life, I would just stop at the point where I gave, just before I gave her the N64 games, and just gone, you can carry on with your absolutely futile crusade to try and win her heart, but don't do this. Just don't do it. That's a big regret of mine, and that's how I'd change it. So there you go. Do you have a regret that you want to share, or I say happy to share, but that's not a thing. Like, even saying that makes me feel a bit sort of about my N64 giveaway, and that's comparatively trivial.
Well, if we're going to talk about game systems, I regret the fact that I gave away my SNES, because fuck me, I had some good games on that.
Why did you give it away?
SNES to those, because this was early noughties. I can't remember exactly when. This was long before people like got fucking boners over retro gaming. Sorry, I'm also regretting how much liquid I consumed, because oh boy, I am full. Anyway, yeah, I had a duffel bag with my SNES and loads of good games, loads of really good games, like all of the Donkey Kongs, obviously Super Mario, Metroid, Super Metroid, banging game, fucking wow. Yeah, I had loads of them. It was a really good set. Oh, Yoshi's Island.
Oh wow,
is that what it was called?
Wasn't that quite rare as well? Like,
yeah, that was one of the rare ones. I can't remember where I picked it up, but I remember playing it, loving it, and obviously having a copy of it. There's an incredibly rare game on the SNES, which was about, you played as a little unicycle.
Okay.
I can't remember what it's called. I didn't have that game, but I remember seeing it in a shop a long time ago. And I was like, if only I'd known what I know now, I could have bought it and owned one of the rarest games on the SNES ever. Ooh, but I didn't.
Yeah, but these rare games, sometimes they're crap. They're just rare because there's such a low production run.
Yeah, this one I think there was some legal case or some bollocks, and that's why they had to recall all of the games.
Did they bury them in the desert? Did they do an ET?
They didn't quite bury it. They didn't ET them. No, they, for some legal reasons they had to withdraw them, and so there weren't actually that many in the wild after a while.
Oh, that's a shame.
I regret giving away my SNES at some point. I can't remember where it went or what I did with it, but I certainly didn't get any real money for it. There would be a lot of sentimental value to me now to play those games like I did then.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I still have my PlayStation 2 as well. It's interesting that both of us were Nintendo related as well.
My sister, one of my sisters, possibly both, had Sega stuff. So I in my youth, I did play Sonic and such.
Sonic was the first game I ever played, Sonic 2, when I was 5, I want to say. It was, early 90s, so I was 5, 6 years old. I accidentally killed Sonic, and I thought that was it, and he died, and I started crying. I was like, no, I didn't understand how games worked. I was like, oh, no.
It's not a roguelike with permadeath.
Yeah, just Sonic Permadeath Edition.
I had a NES, we had a Master System, had a Mega Drive, I've had a SNES, obviously. I didn't have an N64, I had a PlayStation, because, again, I went round my sister's, can't remember how old I was, but they had a Gen 1 PlayStation, and I played Final Fantasy VII. It's like, I must get this in my life right now! Yeah, that's the shit.
It is.
JRPG for life. Do you know why it's called Final Fantasy, or the series is called Final Fantasy?
It was supposed to be the developer's final game because he weren't making any money on games, and he was like, right, let's just throw everything at the wall, see if it sticks. It was really famous, and then so he just carried on making them.
Yeah, yeah, he did Dark Souls on it, and just all of a sudden made a very popular franchise. Yeah.
I can't get into Souls games. I'm rubbish. I'm not an elitist gamer boy. I'm a stinky casual. No. So.
Yeah, I've never tried a Souls game, because I know that I'd just be like, I can't be arsed with this, it's too much.
Same. I've watched people play it and go, that's pretty, but not for me, thank you. Oh, how are we going to segue into this bit? Let's have a look.
If you open a door for 1 second as someone was throwing wet insects against a wall, and then you slam the door shut, what would it sound like? And could you tell that they were throwing cockles, sans shell, pre-cleaned or post-cleaned, who knows, against a wall?
That is a fucking excellent segue. So welcome to this segment, What's That Tune? 1 second edition.
To ease you in gently, to buttery smoothly ease you in gently, I have done 5. I need to actually look at what I'm doing.
The listeners at home can also play.
Eyes down, full house. What's this?
It's Devin Townsend, but I don't know what song it is.
Yes.
Oh, God. Can I have it again, please? Hold on. It kind of sounds like the start to Life by Devin Townsend, but I might be wrong. Because he's got so many walls of noise. Or it might be something off Synkestra, because I know you bummed that album.
All right, I'm not going to tell you
Notes from Africa?
until the end.
You're not going to tell me to the end? Okay. So I've given myself 3 guesses. That were my 3 guesses. Right, let's move on to number 2.
Number 2 then.
For fuck's sake.
Do you want that again?
No. It's off of Ziltoid
It's not that,
and
no.
it's off of Addicted. Is that no?
Yeah. What's it called?
Solar something. No.
Nope.
I can't remember the name of the song. I know what it is. We get back to that and I'll go, that's the fucking one. I know what it is though. I just don't know the name of the song.
Do you want to go to the next
Yeah,
one then?
go on. Well, that is Earth Day.
Yes.
By Nice, and that's Devin Townsend. All these Devin Townsend, are they all going to be Devin Townsend? Okay.
Yeah, just to make it slightly easier, I've kept to a theme, and you've worked out what the theme is.
Okay, that's cool. Next. Hold on. It's another one of these ones where I can't remember the fucking name, but it's track 3 off of Synkestra. Well, I can't remember any of the names now because he doesn't ever say the word of the song in the song, so it's just like, you know, it's like calling, it's calling, I can't stay here. That one, but I can't remember the name of it.
Yes.
But it's that one.
It's called Triumph.
Cool.
What's this?
Another one. It's off of the same album. Pixelate.
Yes.
Pixelate off of Synkestra. I'm good at this. Nice.
Final round.
Ooh. What? If it's Devin Townsend, I don't recognise the... Oh no, hold on. Save our
This
now.
one does say... Yeah, Save Our Now. So,
Which one's-
So do you want to go back to the first 2?
Yeah, don't let me guess again. Just play them because I'm not going to get it.
So both of them were Hyperdrive.
Oh, really? They're both the different versions. Like Hyperdrive.
Yes. Yeah, off Ziltoid and off of Addicted.
Yeah, one's got
In that
Annika
order.
von Ginsbergen in it.
And it's in a different key.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, the second one is a little higher.
Yep. And then the next one is slightly higher in key. Good stuff. Was that 5 or 6
Cool.
things that you did? 5, was it 5?
6.
So I got 4 out of 6, I believe. Yeah, that's pretty good
Yeah, you
going.
did
I'm
alright.
surprised because I'm usually rubbish at intros to songs. Like, it's the next week are going to be Opeth. They have infamously long lead-ins to their songs as well.
What's this silence? What does it mean?
It's
What
the
song are these
more.
songs?
It's going to be the more. If it starts off as silence, it's going to be the more. Like, definitely. So anyway, that was Devin Townsend, a fantastic man, and he's fantastic to see live. And amazingly enough, my story of the week was when we went to see Devin Townsend for the first time at Brixton Academy. The stars did align, did they not? So this is taken from an article that I wrote on Last FM. Remember when people used that? No, this is when I didn't have a job whilst living in London. I've taken out a lot of the gig itself because what happened before and especially after the gig was way more interesting. So let's cast our minds back. Dude, what's it? The cast your minds back thing. So back in February 2013, whilst visiting my friend Sam at his Oxford digs, we were informed of a Meshuggah and Devin Townsend co-headliner set to take place at Brixton Academy during May Bank holiday weekend. After about 12 nanoseconds of consideration, Alex bagged 2 tickets for this reported head-to-head event. Like, it was almost immediate. You were like, Sam, we're going to this. It wasn't even asking. Like, Sam, we're going. I bought some tickets.
We're going.
It was still several months away yet. Like, 'cause this was, you bagged them in February and we had to wait till May. So I was keeping track of the gig on various forums, like Last FM, the event forum. People were just talking about what they could expect from it. And it was really amusing because a lot of people thought that the marketing is like Meshuggah and Devin Townsend head to head. They thought that they were going to be playing at the same time on the stage. And I was like, not only would that sound horrible, but it would be over in half the time of a normal gig. Like, why would you think that's a good idea? And people are like, oh, maybe they're going to play one song and then Meshuggah's going to play another song. It's like, why are you this stupid? Like, it's just
like the logistics of that is just no.
Yeah, like, I did laugh at their stupidity, but it did make me mourn for just how stupid the metal community can be sometimes. It's just like really dumb
Just
people.
people being stupid.
Oh yeah, I don't even think it's exclusive to one community. It's just people on the internet. You put enough people on the internet into a forum, someone's going to say something dumb.
Someone's going to deny that vaccines work.
Vaccines, what are they, mate? I thought that was a band with what's her name in it. So
The vaccines aren't a female-led band.
oh, I'm thinking of the transplants.
Recently?
Brody Dale. That's the one. Brody Dale.
Yes.
What a dish.
Yes.
Yeah.
A dish best served.
Broiled?
Broiled? Best served on in a basket, hot and fresh, from a bus with your face on it that's playing Shawaddy Waddy for some reason.
And for some reason, it's leaking prawn sauce. Oh dear, are those some scissors? What are you doing?
Yeah, so many scissors in these prawn sauce. The finest quality of prawn sauces, made of prawns, for prawns, by prawns, because of prawns. No one asked why prawns or where prawns or how prawns, but prawns were the thing. They were the thing. The sauce, for the sauce, by the sauce, the people and the prawns. Anyway.
Back to the story. Veering it back like a bus with my face on it, back to the fucking story.
Oozing prawn sauce all over the road, sliding
Sloshing
about.
around.
Sloshing around. Prawns and cockles and fucking whelks and whatever coming out right in your eyes. The grit getting right in the eye.
Yeah. The day itself finally arrived. Do you need a minute?
And relax.
The day itself...
I'm fine.
The day itself finally
Fine,
arrived, and after completing an excruciating shift at work, Alex picked me up for our drive into London. Now, the journey there wasn't quite so bad, but traversing central London's roads was like wading through treacle with broken shins, slow and painful. We passed the time by singing along to Devin, of course, and observing some of the utterly wince-inducing driving abilities of inner city folk. And my God, was there a doozy. So this crowning achievement of vehicular twattery was awarded to the insipid Range Rover driver, who'd suddenly and constantly switched lanes with no indication. They then failed to notice a red light on time, braked hard, realised they parked on the crossing, and blindly reversed just as a pedestrian was walking just behind them. And I believe you screamed, "Learn to driving!" as the mindless buffoon stopped short of turning someone into a red smear. Well, not at that speed, but maybe they were made of jelly or something. I don't know, like
trying to thumb a marshmallow into a piggy bank would have just sort of formed them.
And I was utterly flabbergasted.
Flabbergasted?
I had a mouthful of water. Shall I do that again? Utterly flabbergasted at how one person could have such little spatial awareness and regard for anyone or indeed anything else in existence. We finally reached Brixton Academy without murdering anyone, so that was good. And there was almost no queue to speak of, because we may have been a little bit late. So we headed straight in. The sound of cheering grew more prominent as Meshuggah started their set, meaning we'd entirely missed Periphery, the opening act. So, unfortunately.
Which in hindsight is a bit of a shame, because I kind of like Periphery.
I'd not heard much of them, but the way you were talking them up, I was like, I'm excited to see all the bands. You know, I'm not one of these people that just go, I'm just going for the headliner or the co-headliner at the same time.
Give me that smoothly shaved Canadian and nothing else.
Exactly. We actually went to the merch stand before heading in because we thought we'd better get it now, otherwise it's just going to be horrible when we come out and, you know, there'll be nothing left.
Yeah, what was the merch we bought?
Devin Townsend on a small bicycle t-shirt that just said Devin along the top of it. I've still got that somewhere, but I'm actually too fat to wear it.
You're too fat? How does that happen?
Beer. So we scurried into the arena itself after realising we were missing Meshuggah, which is basically a sin. They played a really solid gig, actually. They played Bleed, which I was utterly blown away by because of how drumming do live. Rational Gaze, and quite like a 15-minute suite from their Catch 33 album, which was never supposed to be played live. So it was like, oh, fuck. So that was good. And we actually bumped into Sam as well from Oxford. He was just there, even though we didn't know he was going to be there, because he was in an hour about getting a ticket, and we didn't know if we ever decided. But clearly he did, and he was a little bit drunk, and he was going around with a snapshot, like a disposable snapshot camera, just taking random photos of people. And anyway, needless to say, Devin Townsend was everything I'd hoped it to be and more. I was a picture of giddy glee throughout, singing along to pretty much every song.
Is this the one we had the choir?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, like the Brixton Academy. Actually, speaking of the choir, there was one of Sam's old uni mates in the choir. And I was just like, what the actual fuck? That was impressive. And then once the set was over, there's this lass in front of us. She turned around and said, rather snarkily, well, you really enjoyed that, didn't you? Most likely referring to my spirited renditions of singing along. I was like, well, no one forced you to stand near me. It's a big arena. If I bothered you that much, you should have A, said something beforehand, or B, just got away from me. Get away from the loud man, you know? So I feel like she was being a dick, basically.
No one's allowed to have fun. Clearly, you got to go to a gig with a band, or bands in this case, that you really want to see, and scowl the whole time.
People do that,
and
though.
Have a horrible experience.
People do that. Like, you see people that just cross their arms. When I went to see Nine Inch Nails at the O2 Dome, or the Millennium Dome, the seated tickets were noticeably cheaper than the standing tickets. So somebody spent like a good chunk of change on a standing ticket and just stood there the entire time, just scowling and looking at the stage. It's just like, you're that much of a dick that you'll go out of your way to buy a Nine Inch Nails ticket so an actual fan can't get one, and just spend the whole gig scowling at Trent Reznor. You absolute dickhole.
Maybe he was the one driving that Range Rover.
Almost definitely. Anyway, so we had fun. So we were like emotionally, physically and mentally drained, so we needed to go and get some Crackdonald's post-haste. That was also everyone else in the arena's idea, so the queue was absolutely fucking heaving. Sam had latched onto us at this point, I think. Like, he had just gotten so drunk he didn't know what he was doing by himself, so he kind of just followed the familiars. But he actually turned up with somebody else, but they were off their face on ketamine, and they came up to us like, oh man, are we gonna miss the bus, Sam? They were just stumbling all over the place, and we just thought it was just some idiot, so we just kind of shooed him away and just carried on. It was painfully clear that Sam was completely shit-faced at this point. He couldn't walk in a straight line or control the volume of his voice. He couldn't read the room as far as social cues went. And when we were waiting in this massive queue, Sam inexplicably got into an altercation with a random couple standing behind us. And I don't know how it started, but he was getting quite heated. And then suddenly as it started, he pulled a large bag of Bombay mix out of his trousers and offered them some, and it completely diffused the situation. Now, I don't know where he got this Bombay mix from, because he was wearing like quite baggy sort of hippie trousers. I was like, are you just storing them in your crotch? Have you got a pouch in?
It's just got a crevice somewhere.
Got a crevice.
Bombay mix.
Anyway, he got sick of just waiting with the rest of us, so he barged through and just went straight to the counter and ordered his food, and there was loads of people in there and nobody said anything, and he got away with it. And he came back and he went to sit on the stairs near that led up to the toilets, so just patiently awaited his food, but he not that patiently because he was grazing the Bombay Wicks once more. There's this security guy that came over and was like, come on mate, you can't sit there, that's where the toilets are. And so instead of moving, Sam just kind of got up to a low crouching position and was like that far away from the seat. And then he said, technically, I'm not actually sitting down, so you can't tell me to move. And I was just like, for fuck's sake.
Just watching this going, stop being such a petulant child, just fucking move.
Anyway, we managed to get all our food and get the fuck out of there before, like, the bouncer chucked him into the street or something. However, once outside, things really didn't improve in regard to Sam's campaign of drunken mischief. Seeing chuck a half-depleted cup of Sprite into traffic whilst yelling nonsense. Just, you're fired! Just chucked it. Like, what a waste. And also, traffic. Geez. I mean, I don't think it actually landed on anyone's car. It just kind of unceremoniously plopped into the road and ice scattered out everywhere. So, after spying a couple of young women approaching, Sam spread both arms wide and yelled, hello, sexy ladies! Would you like some Bombay mix? Which would have been quite funny if that's as far as it went. Predictably, that was not as far as it went. After putting one of the poor girls in some kind of headlock, he shoved the Bombay packet right into her screaming face, and her so-called friend just ran. She just left. It's like, that's your problem now, bye. Which, you know, says a lot about their friendship, I think.
Hear me out here. There was 3 of us.
Yeah.
And there were 2 of them. I think she read the room and went, this ain't going to go well. And that's why she fucking liked it.
I wasn't going to do anything except stop Sam being an absolute fucking menace. We actually did have to interject at that point because he was taking it way too far, and you could tell that the woman was just, she thought she was going to get assaulted or something. She was technically being assaulted by some random drunk. So he kind of, after I think we approached, he sort of snapped out of it. It was just like, oh shit, maybe I did actually take things too far. And he sort of went, oh, okay, right, yeah. And you didn't lay into him, but you were just like, that was not cool, Sam. That was not cool at all. Like, what do you think you're doing? You can't just go up to people and do that. And he was just like, you fucking whatever. Yeah, I think that was his way of saying, yeah, you're quite right. I will consider my next approach carefully.
Not headlocking someone and forcing my snacks that I somehow keep upon my person in their face.
That was what I came to expect from Sam, because I'd known him a lot longer than you, but you'd only really known him since February that year, like.
And I'd already at that point gone,
yeah,
he does some weird shit.
Understandably, you're just like, dude. Just when we thought the Bombay buffoonery was all over, Sam marched up to a shapely lass and politely offered her some, but her brief look of consideration before issuing equally polite refusal was actually even funnier than the act itself. She was just like, she was on the phone and she just stopped and was like, no, thank you, that's okay. Just looked up like she was so polite about it, bless her. Sam eventually grew sick of holding the deteriorating snack packet and just threw it on the ground, much to our relief, I'm sure. I was so glad to, like, that once that Bombay mixed packet went on the floor, I didn't even care about the littering aspect. It was like, he's no longer a threat. He's been declawed. The shards are away from him. I guess a combination of him following us all the way back to the car, and we kind of felt duty bound to not leaving him in London in that state, because it was only a matter of time before someone was going to stab him. Let's be fair. Like, he was going to rub someone up the wrong way. We were in Brixton. We let him sleep in the back seat of the car whilst we went all the way to Oxford, and he woke up and was like, where the fuck am I? After he realised he hadn't just been kidnapped by some random strangers, he kind of just went, oh, and went back to sleep again.
Yeah, I remember him waking up and we were in the outskirts of Oxford. And he's like, where are we? And it's like, Oxford.
Like, oh, okay. And then, you know, he was cool with it. But when we got back to his at stupid o'clock, he was pretty much sobered up by this point, and he offered us a place to crash, which was nice of him, because then we didn't have to fucking drive all the way back to Kent. That would have been horrible. The following day after we woke up...
The very next day.
Yep, I think we gleefully recounted how much of an idiot Sam had been to Sam, and he looked somewhat like, not horrified, but he was kind of like, oh dear.
Perturbed, maybe?
A little perturbed, but just kind of like, oh well, fuck it, doesn't matter, no one got hurt, I guess. It's like, well, I think that young lady might need some therapy, like at some point. We had some breakfast and a debrief, and then it was a really nice day, so we went to town. And we quickly found our way to a pub and decided to start drinking. After a couple of ales, we decided to go grab a burrito from, I think it was just some nondescript burrito place, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, so Sam, clearly affronted by the £1.50 guacamole tax, decided to steal several bottles of Cholula sauce, citing, I've decided they were included in the price of my meal. And he stole like 3
But
bottles.
It wasn't one bottle. It wasn't 2. He just sort of, what was it? He got home and went, look, I've got these.
I don't even
Just like,
remember how many he stole. I thought he only took 1, but then he produced them out of the same trousers he wore the day before, I may add, just these magical storage trousers. He just kept pulling bottles of Cholula out of. Yeah, so we decided to go back to his, and we grabbed some more beers en route from that brilliant shop that sold out-of-date beer for like super cheap. And that's where we found out about... Well, that's not where we found out, but that's where we bought the deep smack from.
The deep taste.
The deep taste. I know we didn't go back.
So yeah, this is smack weekend.
It was, but yeah, we didn't go to Sam. We went to Maya's house, and we interrupted her during her studies just to drag her out to her garden to have a drink with us, basically.
I think she'd only recently woken up, and so her breakfast technically was beer.
Yes, indeed, that sounds about right. The night kind of spiraled out from there, really, didn't it? So we went back to Sam's and got into a sport called sock wrestling.
So it's like wrestling, but you start kneeling, and the idea is you have to take a sock off someone's foot.
Yeah, off of the opposition's foot, yeah. And then you win, presumably. Anyway, this one for fucking ages.
It was a good day for it, because it was sunny and it was warm.
Yeah, this was growing into the evening now as well, sort of like, it was about an hour on and off of just sock wrestling. It was good fun. Of course, No evening would be complete without a Sam-related scatological faux pas. Someone was typically taking forever in the only toilet that they had in the 3-story house. And I really, really needed to, go. We'd be eating and drinking and, it all just built up, Man's got a shit.
Was this when Gentle Ben locked himself in there and fell asleep?
No, that wasn't that time. That was the February. That was this.
Okay.
This was a completely different toilet-related matter. I think they were just taking too long, and I was just like, it was basically crowning at this point. So I managed to find some takeaway napkins. It seems to be a staple of mine now. Just like ever since that, this was timeline-wise. This was after the homeless man incident.
www.itakeashitoutside whilst the homeless man watches.com.
Exactly. That's the first time you've read it straight. Like a pear cider that's made of 100% shit.
That's made 100% homeless people watching me take a shit.
Exactly. I headed into Sam's freshly turfed back garden, peeled back a slab of said turf, took a sizable shit in the mud, and then covered it back over with the turf again.
This was in the dark. I don't think anyone could see you, mercifully.
Well, yeah, this would have been the perfect crime were it not for two factors. I was incredibly drunk, and I couldn't see what I was doing because it was almost midnight. Sam headed outside the following morning to half a slimy turd poking out from underneath a clumsily replaced slab of turf. Much to his combined disgust and amusement. So,
oh boy.
oh dear. I seem to be building a reputation at this point. Just disgusting people with my poo.
Surely you don't have that many more stories about taking a shit in public. Surely not.
At least 3.
I don't think I've ever taken a shit in public.
I don't make a habit of it, but when you group them all together like this, well, technically it was in the privacy of a back garden. It was kind of half public. It was just outside, al fresco, if you will. So, that was pretty much the end of the night, I think. So anyway, we left quite early on Sunday morning because we wanted to get home, except we didn't go home, did we? We ended up going round Duncan's for a barbecue and drinking even more.
Yeah, for some unknown reasons, like, right, we've been out all weekend. Let's go to someone else's house.
And you went to pick my little brother up. Was that the time where your car just smashed into a curb and you broke the wheel on it? Or like...
He was in the car at the time,
Yeah.
so we were driving to Wittersham. I can't remember if that was the same time. It might have been, but yeah. So what it was is the side of the road curved away. Obviously, it does, and it was a very, very low curbstone in the ground. It was not like a continuous bit of pavement or path or anything. It was just like one stone kind of sunk in, and either side of it was just turf.
Yeah.
And clearly, I got too close to the edge of the road, and just this horrendous bang. And it's like, what the fuck was that? So yeah, that was the reason why I ended up getting bigger wheels, which meant I put lowered suspension in it, which made the ride almost impossibly hard and made it almost intolerable to drive on any road apart from perfect tarmac. But when you had perfect tarmac, oh boy, was it great to drive.
So say, Kent is not known for its perfect tarmac, I have to say.
No.
Not even when it's a flat piece of road, let alone the road to Wittersham, which is basically...
It's not fun on your arse and your spine to drive, but it had like a track car setup. It was good when you had a good road.
When you have that good piece of road, when you're on the road and just sailing through, and then you get to what looks like a really bizarre obstruction, and that really bizarre obstruction is the next question.
So question 3 is brought to you by our wonderful friends at God, I'm trying to. Yeah, I can't even do my own bit. Falling down the stairs sounds that are used in a psytrance. Question 3 is brought to you by fellow podcaster and Plop Chat collaborator Retis. He asks, who wins and why? Electro Chimp or Steampunk Swine?
Yeah, this one... this is very...
Makes no sense to no one.
This is probably why Plop Chat hasn't got as big an audience as it possibly deserves, because it's so esoteric that we come up with shit like this. Now, like you said, I've got a little bit of a head start on you with this because I know Ross's brain. And
yes.
We started doing this as a joke to kill time on bus journeys to and from town, where we'd say, like, think of a monster mashup film, and it was just like, there's Mecha Shark versus Crocosaurus and things like that. And we're just like, or as I've got a poster on my wall, Tyranno Goat versus Octo Chimp, things like that. So clearly this is born of that. So he's asking us, in a Godzilla type match, who would win and why would they win? Now, I actually thought about this and came up with a good... That's not a good answer. It's an answer. I said that Electro Chimp, because of two reasons, depending on how you view his name, or her name. Sorry, their name. Their name. Depending on the prefix, it's either electronically charged or has the supreme power of electro music on its side.
It flings Avicii at you, and then Avicii mauls you.
Yeah, with his drop.
You lose your eyes.
He drops the drop, and then suddenly everyone's head explodes.
Forces all of that cockle grit into your eyeballs.
Oh god, that just reminds me of Game of Thrones.
No, thank you.
Oh god, not again. Also, probably the main reason.
Yep.
It's a fucking chimp. Those things can beat down with the best of them. No contest. That swine is bacon, mate.
I'd like to counter that a little bit, or at least bring up the fact that if we're talking about a steampunk swine, we're talking about a Victorian gentleman pig who has the power of clockwork and steam technology, so they could make some sort of abominable Power Rangers-esque robot suit thing with more brass on it or something, I don't know, that could deflect the monkeys, whatever's, until death.
Until death.
Occurs. Until death.
Until death do they part.
It's not very permanent.
Oh no! How are you going to figure out what you're going to say next? Oh no, it's still there.
So yeah, I feel that there's always going to be a technological counter for whatever our Electro Chimp is able to muster, with its natural abilities of electronic music or the power of electricity, the force lightning kind of shit. I just imagine that through some sort of training montage, maybe some inspirational music, a couple of episodes of monologuing, I think that the Electro Swine is... Nope, that's both of them. I believe that through the power of friendship and love, the steampunk swine would be able to at least match and maybe exceed the natural abilities of our Electro Chimp through technology.
I think,
mostly made of cogs and gears and steam and all that.
Yeah, but providing, it doesn't run out of steam. Now, the chimps have quite a lot of energy, not boundless, but quite a lot. Maybe the chimp will just wait it out until, oh dear, we've run out of coal to power our steampunk, and then it's just a swine, and it could easily be defeated. I reckon it would be a very good fight. They have different abilities, but they're quite well matched, I suppose. So they could, they could have a real good collateral damage inducing, spectacular Hollywood crowd pleasing fight. And then one of them has to win, because there's one thing I can't abide in most someone versus someone films. They don't defeat each other. They resolve their differences and fight a greater enemy.
They hug it out.
Just like, no, this is a fucking brutal match between two wild animals that have been imbued with some bizarre fucking powers and technologies.
Yeah, I imagine here that the swine is meant to be the human analog, because it's just a pig. Really, it's just a pig underneath. So with the power of technology and rainbows and whatever, I feel that that's meant to be the side you're meant to relate to. But then again, the chimp could be very much like a King Kong style. Yeah. He's a wild animal, but at the same time, there's a certain allegory to some nonsense that you could relate to. I don't know. Let's just say that they both kill each other, and then we never have to talk about them again.
There you go. Stalemate. The chimp blows up the steampunk swine, but the explosion kills them both. And 67,000 people.
It's all right, they're mostly orphans.
It's all right, they're mostly orphans.
Doing it for the orphans. Oh, I've killed the orphans.
Oh no, not all the orphans. That was actually that question. It went better than I expected. I don't know what I was expecting at all. Thank you, Retis. That had some truly enlightening discourse come from it. So
we were able to actually have a conversation about what is pretty much fucking nonsense.
Yeah, welcome to Oars Adventure Podcast, where we talk about pretty much fucking nonsense.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, nah.
The orphans. Do you have a knowledge thing to bring to this thing? Or
yes,
you do have a knowledge. You have knowledge.
Yes.
How are we going to segue? Shit.
We're going to slide into my snack crevice, and we're going to extract some knowledge from the snack crevice. And from that snack crevice, many spoons wide, we're going to talk about tyre fires.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm interested. And
You're interested?
I'm interested.
Good. We know how fire works, right? It's got triangles involved.
Yeah.
So you need them triangles. The more triangle you have, the more fire. That's just science. One thing that for some reason we decided to do a long time ago is make road wheels out of rubber or some sort of synthetic material. Things like that have a tendency to, in the right situation, fire. What you can do with these road wheels is you could try and actually do something with them, like turn them into art, or those things in play parks that kids smack their head on but don't really hurt themselves too much. I don't know what they're
other
called.
kids.
Maybe they're just other kids. You could turn them into some sort of macabre automaton made of tires or whatever. But yes, another thing you can do with them is you can stack them in big piles and forget about them because you don't have anything better to do with tires, because you're like, well, we can't put them on our cars anymore because we've used them up. The road is kind of abrasive. Things happen, time makes fools of us all.
Sure does.
So once you made yourself a nice mountain of tires, what then do you do with it? You ignore it, that's what you do. And then someone or somehow fire. Well, specifically it could be arson, it could be natural events, lightning strike, the gaze of an electro chimp, some epic battle between nonsense characters could cause fire. So when that happens, you get an interesting thing happen. Not just fire, but fire that's very hard to put out. You see, what can happen is pyrolysis, which is a fire that happens in an environment where there's no oxygen.
Okay.
This is also a fun thing that can happen to coal mines. It can just be like, I'm on fire now and you can't stop me.
Jesus Christ, yeah, that's terrifying. There's coal fires that are still on fire.
Yep.
Coal fires?
Yep.
Coal mines that are still on fire.
Yeah, it's like, oh, look, well, the ground's on fire. Can we do anything about it?
Let's move everyone out. Let's get everyone out of it.
Yeah. So like that thing, on the surface, your delicious pile of tyres just is on fire now. And can you stop it? Hell no. Is it really obnoxious? Noxious? Yes, it is. So that's a good thing. It gets hot, stays hot, keeps going, doesn't need oxygen, just keeps going. So that's a fun thing, and it can literally burn for decades.
So it burns for so long that future societies will worship it as their god.
Acrid smoke brings tears to our eyes, quite literally. It is poetry in motion.
It's lining our lungs with bits of toxic rubber.
It brings celestial cancer from its billowiness.
Exactly, and the high priests of this religion are called wheezers because they're not the band. They're just wheezing.
Since there have been tyres, there has been tyre fires, pretty much. So, yeah, what was it? Not too recently, a fire in Wales, a tyre fire this case, we're still talking about tyre fires, ran for something like 15 years.
Bloody hell.
Just doing its thing, just, burning, because they do.
So, I always thought like the Springfield tyre fire in The Simpsons was just like some kind of joke where just like it's just like this couldn't really happen, so it's happening in a cartoon. It's like, nope, it actually could happen. Like the Springfield tyre fire in 1992 could still be on fire now, theoretically. Like,
yeah, put enough stuff in the right place, you can get it to burn for ages.
burn.
But a lot of things that we produce stuff out of is in some way a fuel. You give it enough triangles, there you go. You got yourself some heat and some light and noxious fumes to make your eyes water.
Well, yeah,
and some other fun things. So yeah, not quite as scary as say a flour mill exploding, but still pretty unpleasant, really.
Well,
let's just
at least the tyre fire is not exactly something that can sneak up behind you. I mean, a flour mill exploding is very sudden, isn't it? But like a tyre fire, you know if that's gonna be up in your business because it's a big fucking pile of tyres. What did you expect? It's not.
Yeah, and it sort of smoulders, and it's not just like and poof. It's the whole thing sort of. Yeah.
Speaking about fires, we like my fiance and I, we recently did some gardening, and we had lots of dead garden waste, and we chucked it all into this into our fire pit, and it was having some trouble sort of starting up because some of it was wet. Before I lit it, I put some petrol on it, as you do.
Always wise.
But then my fiance was just like, no, don't do that. I saw something on the internet, which this guy, he tried to do that, but as he was pouring it, it sort of like went up and set himself on fire. I was like, okay, I'm being careful.
Yeah, you don't pour fuel onto an actual lit fire.
So she went to get some fire lighters, and then she was being very careful. She just like lit it and then chucked it from like a meter away, but it kept landing on the wrong side, and and then she, after all the sort of scaremongering and stuff, she just picked a lit one up and just put it in the middle of the fire. It went and like almost burnt her eyebrows off, and then she just started laughing. It's like, for fuck's sake. And so yeah, stay safe, kids. Don't play with fire. Even when you're a responsible adult, you still can't trust yourself. So, and you can't trust fire either. Fire is...
No. Stay away from those triangles,
yeah,
kids.
just don't go near the triangles. And you did some research, and I think, and I
read a Wikipedia page.
I wasn't bored once. I didn't fall asleep at all during that segment. I kept my eyes on the prize. It's very important to keep an eye on your belongings, especially if you're otherwise engaged. Which brings us to our final question.
Before we do that, I have a question about one of our questions.
Okay.
If Electro Chimp and Steampunk Swine are now dead, which one would be nicer to eat?
I don't know what chimp tastes like, so just go with the obvious.
Yeah, I was thinking about something else. Like, yeah, that's it. I was going to look up what does dolphin taste like, but
neither of those things are dolphins. How does that?
How do you know? They could identify as a dolphin.
That's a good point. Well, maybe the steampunk swine is actually full of cockles, and it just explodes, and there's just a shower of bottom-feeding grit eaters. Our final question this week comes from Ginger Bean, who asks, does the bum bag really have to stay on during sex?
Absolutely. We do not take the bum bag off.
I would agree, because when you do, it will get stolen, and, the possessions therein will get stolen that are of worth, and then the rest of the bum bag will be unceremoniously dumped several feet away. And whilst you were busy having sandy coitus with some random dude or
carnal
woman,
relations,
and you kept your eyes off the prize was stolen by somebody. So absolutely, now, I understand sometimes it could get in the way, it could be cumbersome depending on how you wear it. Just figure it out, just like, would you rather have slightly awkward sex or no phone and no money, for the rest of your holiday? So,
across you like that.
Yeah, like
across your heart.
Yeah, just like cross your heart one,
And you could have a little snack as you go.
A mid-game snack. Would you like some roughage?
Would you enjoy some
pea shingle?
some cockles?
Some cockles. I've got the grittiest cockles. Would you like some? Everything was gritty after that session, to be honest. So yeah, in answer to your question,
everybody's got grit.
It's multiplying.
No, the power of cockles aren't electrifying.
The power of the chimp is electrifying.
And he's cooking your swine.
Because you better wake up, because some random man is stealing your bum bag away. We're going into Greece territory, and we don't want to do that. Cause,
no. It's not got our best intentions at heart.
Absolutely not. I think our best intentions have been very well outlined in this entire episode, to be honest. We've said everything that we want to say this week. We've done it. We've done it, everyone. We've reached the end of another.
And you've reached it with us.
You've reached it with us. You somehow powered through this slightly longer than anticipated episode. Stay awake. Stay awake.
Stay awake. Stay safe.
Stay awake whilst watching us on YouTube, for instance, at AAA Podcast, or Spotify for just our sultry tones at AAA Podcast with Alex and Sam. You can head over to Twitter at the handle that I finally fucking fixed at AAA_Alex Sam, not podcast as it was before. It was literally like uppercase A and 2 lowercase, so it was Anyway, so that's chock full of barely relevant updates, but mostly random bollocks, really. I actually tweeted about you taking a shit, and that's why we're not recording yet, so...
Thanks. I'm sure everyone reading that was like, good to know.
We've only got six followers so far, so... And one of them is someone I know. And the other one is me on my other account, so really it's 4 people I don't know. One of them's another podcast. They did the follow back thing. I don't really know how Twitter works, to be honest. It's just keep chucking bullshit on there.
So you are a follow back girl.
Yeah, I identify as a follow back girl. whichever medium you prefer, make sure to give us some feedback, which we will routinely ignore whilst rolling around in our big stacks of podcast money, possibly while on fire, because we actually rolled into the tyre sort of pile as well. It's a big hot mess.
Like a dragon hoarding stuff, in this case tyres, we might be also on fire.
Yeah, I mean, also, which is a dumpster fire, is my personal Twitter, regmedia_00, where I question reality and the continued existence of others, really. And on YouTube at regmedia, where I barely question anything anymore, really. I don't use it. So, have fun. Alex, the floor is yours.
So, yeah, the floor is mine, and I have nothing to do with it. Maybe dance, do a little waltz around on my own.
I think that's fine. I mean, our fans never expect you to engage on social media. I think it's quite refreshing, actually, although you do have Facebook and I don't.
Mostly just to stare at other people's experience of life and demean.
And there's no bots of New York outside of Facebook, as far as I can tell. There's no bony Twitter, there's no bony Reddit, subreddit or anything. It's exclusively to Facebook, as far as I can tell. And that's the only thing I feel that I would be missing out on.
I recently found a group called Eggs with Threatening Auras, which... Are you surprised that exists? No. Well, I'm not. But I joined it and they let me join. So I can now find the deepest of egg-related memes.
I think that's what we... Was it actually curated by Gary?
I don't know. I hope he is...
I hope he's part of the group because he is our resident Eggman. He was going to provide a question this week, but I told him he missed the window, and then he looked really sad when I said that. But he does have a quick caption review, which he fired across yesterday, which I found quite interesting. He said, "I would intentionally not listen to it on my commute in case I pissed myself laughing."
Masking the delicious fresh smell of cockles on your bus ride to work.
Yep, so I think on that note, that's it. So... we're just going to go, I don't know, lie down in a darkened room and just cover ourselves in cockles or something and just...
Spoons, maybe some triangles.
Yeah, I'm just going to lay down and just measure myself, like, laying down in spoons.
Measure myself.
Measure myself with spoons and just, like, and do all kinds of things with spoons and...
unspeakable things with spoons.
That's it. Please, Alex, sign off in whichever sensible way you feel is...
Please, take care.
Some sort of horrendous sample-based monstrosity with the generic beat under. Some sort of horrendous sample-based monstrosity with the generic beat under.